Hello everyone, I'm Ida Kruti and I'm glad to be part of this international conference and to present my work in this conference. Psycho-emotional effects of 50 to 60 years adolescence and pandemic. The COVID pandemic-19, like any other pandemic, carries personal, economic, social, and psycho-emotional effects in each of us, in any society. Pandemic became the topic of the day during the end of 2019, 2020, and unfortunately today, till today, 2021. It was end of 2019 that affected the entire social, economic, and family environment from the COVID-19. The pandemic changed the way of life, social and physical distancing, wearing mask, movement restriction, non-attendance of family meetings and meetings with friends, non-attendance of cinemas, theaters, sports centers, and washing hands everywhere. This all changed the life, not only for adolescents, but for the entire population. Each of us learn what the pandemic is, and according to World Health Organization, a pandemic must meet 8 criteria, like wide geographic extension, disease movement, or high attack rates, minimal population immunity, or infection severity, etc. And the individual teenager grows into a socio-economic and political specific context, and that in itself is changing. Development of adolescence know a greater sensitivity towards powerful closures, which had many countries in the first phase of the pantheon, like in our country. And according again to World Health Organization, adolescence is ranking from 11, 12 to 19, 21 years old, but this varies from country to country. For example, in Australia, adolescence varies from 12 to 20 years, or in German, from 50 to 24 years old. In Austria, adolescence varies from 40 to 90 years old. And according to Larson and Wilson, 2004, we must consider as important development factors like country cultures, economic transition, technology, urbanization, or atmospheric conditions like strong earthquakes. For example, one of these we had in Albania at end of 2019 that caused many symptoms, difficult symptoms for not only for adolescents but for all population here. And among these factors, the development of adolescents in all countries, regardless of their cultures, can determine genetic, physical and mental illness, or climate, diet, and stress and social factors. And in my country, and it was 9th March when the Ministry of Health announced the closures of education institutions for the prevention of the COVID-19 pandemic. Only a few days later was announced the restriction of movement, excluding family members and patients who go to the hospital. Permission to go shopping was given only to age 18 to 60 from Monday to Friday from 9 to 12 o'clock. On a weekend, only the ages 60 plus were allowed to move from 8 to 10 o'clock, while from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, only mothers with children up to 40 years old are allowed to move. The age prohibited from movement excluded adolescents from 50 to 60 years. Teaching and work were done online from home. Parents, children, and any other family members had to stay together at home. The situation continued until August. And for many children and young people, this strong lockdown means loss of routines, the daily structure, loss of sports, exercises, entertainment, lack of social contacts, increased media consumption. And for these years, the people 50 to 60 years lost school graduation ceremony, and they report to have conflict between siblings and between parents. Okay, materials and methods. For the first time, it was end of the summer 2020 when we are almost open in Albania and accepted to teach in school. But fearing a second wave of COVID-19, it was thought, and so is decided to ask school students aged 50 to 90 years old, and it was only questions: online learning versus going to school. And this test concluded 1,500 high school students. Here you can see the percent of the asked students. And 50 to 60 years old are approximately 40%. And they would not, 95% of this age would not prefer online learning in any way. So it was this age group during the first period of restriction were not allowed to move. So from this reason, we decided to make another test that included only 123 students in 3 high schools in the capital city. And it were 66 girls, so 54% of a sample, and 57 boys, 60% of the sample, aged 50 to 60 years old. The time of completion of this questionnaire was September-October 2020. And adolescents were asked about school, family life, social, emotional, physical activities, quarantine, restrictive measures, and COVID-19 itself as disease. And this questionnaire is divided in 2 sections for each phenomenon. The first questions was yes or no, and the second was open questions. Independent variables was age, class, gender, education, and factors lack of contact with peers, social distancing, lack of physical activities, entertainment. And dependent variables was stress, anxiety, sedentary lifestyle, and unhealthy food or aggression. Some of the questions, for example, was have you done online learning during the pandemic? Yes or no? How do you feel during online learning? During the period March-June, were you or your family members infected with COVID-19? Yes or no? And how do you feel the new behavior that has imposed on us this new lifestyle or social distance? What has upset you most? Or did you miss contact with friends? Yes or no? And if yes, what did you miss them? Or have you been afraid to COVID-19, of course, as disease? Yes or no? Which were some of the feelings when you heard about deaths that was causing this disease worldwide? Are you satisfied that during these months you had the opportunity to be with family members all the time? Yes or no? If yes, list some of the emotion. If not, list some of the emotion. And we have here very, very interesting answers. Did you consume a lot of food during quarantine? Yes or no? Or list some of the foods that you consumed during quarantine. Okay, or have you lacked physical activities? Yes or no? If yes, list some of them in order of by. And the results, This data entered in the SPSS program and Excel. This table is the correlation between problems of adolescence and influencing factors. And what you can see is the strongest value, the strongest coefficient, or the strongest value is reported respectively in stress and anxiety, with a value expressed by 0.67 in a positive direction, or the weak value is reported respectively sedentary lifestyle and the lack of physical and entertainment, with a coefficient value 0.34. Of course, in a positive direction. Okay, and here are some of the other results. So, adolescence problems for girls and boys. And referring this graphic, the answer of boys and girls, both genders, are about stress, anxiety, sedentary lifestyle, and aggression. The boys, 77% of them claim to have been in a state of stress during the pandemic. 78% report to had anxiety, and 100% of them reported they have lived a total sedentary life in front of computers, television, or phones. 82% of them report they have displayed aggression within the family. And the girls, you see that 80% of them, they were in a state of stress during the pandemic. 82% of them had anxiety, and 100% of them reported they have lived totally sedentary life. And 73% of them have shown aggression within. And then the conclusion, what we can say, that need support for these young people to overcome the consequences of the closures of the pandemic. So this lockdown of pandemic, strong lockdown. Schools and parents should cooperate by designing intervention programs through the treatment and counseling of teenagers and participations of young people, of these teenagers, in as many physical activities as possible. And thank you for your attention, and I hope to see another conference again.